everybody. Welcome inside the Texans. We do it each and every Monday live at 11 a.m. to 11:30. We are outside of NRG Stadium breaking down the Texans' day in Green Bay yesterday. A little bit later in a half hour, we'll talk about their next game. That would be the Indianapolis Colts coming to town on Sunday. Pleasure to be joined by a couple of guys you hear often and you see often, I would imagine, as well. Patrick Creighton, Sports Radio 610. Good to see you, man.
Hey, Randy. Thanks for having me out.
And Adam Wexler from Sports Talk 790. Wex, always good to have you on.
Always great to go inside the Texans.
Inside. We are digging deep, man. I'm telling you. Hey, so we got a lot to get into. We got some sound, as we always do, from postgame yesterday. We had our crew. Chancellor Johnson was out there in Green Bay. We'll get to some of the sound and some reaction from Chancellor and Aaron Wilson. But let's do initial thoughts coming out of this game, guys, because I look at it. They were lucky it was that close. I mean, thankfully, the defense took care of business with 3 takeaways. Still lost the football game, but it was a 2-point loss. Could have been much worse.
I suppose it could have been much worse, but you got 3 phases. Their defense was totally fine, forcing turnovers. They were a +3. Their special teams forced one of those 3 turnovers. Obviously, Kaimi was good again. They did their jobs. 2 out of the 3 phases were playing winning football, not just okay football, winning football. Yep. So their offense obviously is to blame. I don't want to steal CJ's line, so I'll just repeat it. This one is on the offense, point blank, period. Him, the line, the execution, the coaching staff, wholly and fully.
No doubt. Across the board, things to clean up, Patrick. Big takeaway from the loss.
Man, remember when coming into the season, they're going to have a healthy offensive line. Everything's going to be so much better. Because last year, an offensive line of Laramie Tunsil on one leg, right tackle 4, center 5, and left guard 6, they could at least pass block. They couldn't run block, but they could at least pass block. Now, you've got everybody healthy, all your original starters, and there are 5 parked cars out there. And I don't mean 5 parked cars like you got a Caddy. I mean, you got a Yugo and a Chevette and a Pinto and a K-Card and AMC Gremlin. Like, what is going on? How did the offensive line regress so badly that C.J. Stroud, who usually saves them with all the magic he creates, even he couldn't bail them out on Sunday?
All right, we got the scoreboard. Pop that up. We'll keep talking about this. Let's begin with, there's so many things to get into, which we had an hour today. But let's start with the offensive line. That coming out of that football game yesterday, there are major concerns with this offensive line. There are questions on who's the leader of this offensive line? Who's the vocal person inside of that locker room that's going to call out some guys that need to be called out to try to make plays? Where does this stand with this offensive line? Is it a short-term fix? Will it be fixed? What can they do?
The fix is communication, because quite honestly, I don't think they're getting pushed around, which is what was happening last year with this group for the most part. They just don't know who to block. There are miscommunications on all sorts of stuff. This is not the first time we've seen other teams confuse them. Where is the rush coming from? Where am I supposed to go? Where are we sliding? Who's picking up this guy? That's why there's so many free rushers. It's not because guys are getting blown off the ball. The interior of the line for several years has usually been the culprit, where they're just getting pushed into the quarterback, whoever it was. That's not really the issue anymore. The issue is absolutely, not unpreparedness, but they were absolutely worked from a scheme standpoint by the defensive coordinator of the Packers against the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach for the Texans. And it is a shame, because for the most part, this group has been healthy, been out there together, they've been working together, they practice together, and if communication is your issue, and it's not because it was loud there, they just simply didn't know where was the rush coming from and who's picking up who.
There's definitely a communication issue. There might also be a scheme issue, because we have now seen since week 1, every time the defensive line starts to stunt, they don't know who to pick up. Particularly in the middle of the line, they don't know who to pick up, and guys start coming up the middle unblocked. Then we see them now for the last several weeks. They've used a lot of these condensed, bunched up sets where everybody's real close to the line. Well, what's happening is they can't determine whether or not that guy who's on a wide receiver 3 inches off the line, is this guy, is he a rusher? Is he in coverage? And they can't figure it out. And we saw Green Bay exploit that yesterday, where guys were lining up. Now, when you spread them out wide, and that corner wants to come on a blitz, he's got to leave his wide receiver when he's spread out wide, get up close to the line, and then take off. And the bunch sets that you're seeing yesterday, that we've seen for the last couple of weeks, they don't have to do that. They're already there. We've done half their job for them.
Yeah. All right, let's listen to it now. We got sound, as I mentioned, coming out of Green Bay. Let's start now with D'Amico Ryans at the podium talking about that loss yesterday.
Our keys to victory this week was executing and finish. We didn't execute well enough. all the way across the board. We didn't execute well enough, and we didn't finish the game. Credit to the Packers. They finished it the right way, made the plays when they needed to make it, and they finished the game the right way. But for us to play how we play, offensively is just not good enough for us. We have to play better. Guys have to execute better, have to step up. Obviously we didn't pass the ball well all day, right? So it wasn't good all the way around. We ran the ball well. Thought Joe did a good job of running the ball. And, we needed to pass it. It was not good enough, starting with the protection. If we can't protect, then that's going to be difficult for the quarterback to make the plays. Yeah, we have to go back to the drawing board and see, what those issues were. As we watch the film, we'll see what happened. But, starting just, for me, just seeing the communication and just guys just, being on the details of the job. Every time we step out, it's opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, right? We had opportunities here to finish this game. We had our hands on 2 balls there at the end, like ball was tipped up. We come down and make a play there. It's a completely different feeling right now. But you go back, you learn from it. We see the mistakes, win or loss, we always learn from it. In the run game, a couple times they out-physicaled us in the run game. They were playing on our side of the line of scrimmage. They were attacking, knocking us back. We weren't knocking them back. So we have to get it fixed.
A lot of things didn't go right offensively. We just really didn't get in the rhythm early. Missed some ops. Thought we ran the ball really well, but just weren't clicking in the passing game, and just couldn't find our rhythm. So gotta go watch the film, figure out what went wrong, and try to just get better, and actually do get better. Is no try, and really just get back to practice and just work harder. They rush as one. They have a lot of twist game up front. So the more they twist and turn, we just gotta set with a little depth and just try to level it off. But I thought they did a good job of just sending their stunts, and we just gotta be better in protection, and I gotta be better getting the ball out on time. It's a multitude of things. Yeah, I think it's very important. We gotta find a way to try to get him to rock, and early and often, and then go from there. So I think that's got to be a focus for us. Not only just him, but just the whole offense, just getting the offense clicking early. So that's really my job, and my job to give the ball out on time and to where it's supposed to go. So yeah, that definitely got to be fixed. Usually when you play bad or you come off the field, it's not as bad as it seems. It's usually, you shot yourself in the foot a million times. And, I think that's what we did. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot once again. And I think, that's just a recipe for disaster when you're playing against a great team. I think our defense did a great job today. I thought our special teams did amazing, so we got to be better as offense. This is on us. Point.
All right, some comments here from D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud towards the end, guys. I didn't hear Stroud. He was crediting how great the defense played yesterday. It kept the Texans in a football game. I want to ask now, we were just talking about the offensive line. I don't know what the blitz percentage is, but there's a lot coming his way. Is he reacting well? Is a little bit of this, or is any of it on C.J. at all with how he's handling the pressure that's coming his way?
Well, realistically, they faced almost a 50% pressure rate yesterday. Right, 4 sacks, 7 hits. They only dropped back 25 times. They only blitzed just a little over 15% of the time. So the Packers are getting all this pressure just with 4. Doing their stunts and confusing the Texans' offensive line. And yeah, you saw the frustration in C.J. Stroud. There's one play he comes off the field on 3rd down, rips his helmet, throws it to the ground. That's not C.J. Stroud. We don't see that from him. The frustration is mounting, and I think you saw it evident in his play. He's expecting that pressure on every drop back. And there were some throws that he usually makes he didn't make yesterday.
Yeah, frustration certainly evident yesterday for him.
No doubt about it. Now, there's one thing I think he can do differently and do better, and I think he actually alluded to it earlier this year when he talked about a younger C.J. Stroud might not have done that, and he kind of laughed. He's talking about taking what's there, taking a check down, throwing a quick pass. Also, that should be called. These plays aren't being called often enough. Just throw the ball to the tank. Snap, throw. It's not hard. It might not get you any yards, but it has to happen because there's no way they're going to slow down the rush, considering both D'Amico and CJ said, well, I think we ran the ball pretty well. They did, but there were also 11 tackles for loss in the game for the Green Bay defense. They were playing on the Texans side. Joe Mixon made a lot out of nothing. Again, it's now 3 games he's done that where he's run for over 100 yards. Yep. CJ's got to do a little bit better in just and Bobby Slowick together, they got to create some more plays where the pressure can't get here because we're calling something more quickly, less slow developing plays, less 3 wide outs, all running routes 5, 10, 15 yards down the field. They don't have time to get there when they can't block the pressure.
All right, let's listen to get a little bit of sound now with Stefon Diggs and Joe Mixon from the locker room Sunday in Green Bay.
I feel like obviously we only can control us. They played a hell of a game. They was getting pressure. They just had played a better game than us. Obviously we didn't execute at a high level, and we wasn't being us. That's the results you get when you don't execute. And get back in the lab. Obviously, there's some things we're gonna have to fix, and we're gonna have to have better answers to. So get back on the lab. I look forward to turning the tape on Monday and going from there. Playing on the road is obviously tough, but when you're going on the road, you got to execute at a high level. You can't ride a roller coaster as being, you're going against a good team. Obviously, that's a good team, and they came to play. So when you're going in somebody else's house, you got to have a mindset, and you got to execute. So we know we're a good team. Obviously, we didn't put our best foot forward today, but knowing that you're a good team, knowing that we can play better than that, and finally a bit of, you know what I'm saying, like all that preaching during the week, like we got to be better. We playing ball, we playing ball, but we're not playing our best ball. When we play a good team, you got to play your best ball. You got to be executing at a high level. And then finally, Bitterson, I think a slice of humble pie always does everybody well, get you back in the lab. Because I feel like during the week we had a good week of preparation, but going out there, you still got to execute at a high level. So it's early. You know what I'm saying? Good thing that we got out of the way. They play better than us today. I'm saying, obviously, it's a team sport. Like if we was out there playing 7-on-7, it'd be DBs versus receivers, but it's not that. CJ had a lot of pressure. He was trying to figure it out back there, and we could be better. Obviously we could be better, whether it's timing with the receivers or whatever it is. I feel like as a unit, obviously we want to be better as a team, but as receivers, all we can do is farm our own land. You know what I'm saying? Get open, catch the ball, and do the best thing that you can do in that situation, and that's just good enough and catching it.
Where it came down to was execution. They just executed more than we did, made one more play more than we did, and unfortunately that just was the game. It's definitely opportunity squandered, man, but at the end of the day, hats off to our defense. They played tough all day. They gave us opportunities, and unfortunately, we just didn't win the three and out battle. You know what I'm saying? But we keep our heads up high. We got a damn good, very good team. Obviously they do too, but at the end of the day, I think it's all about us. That's what it comes down to. It's all about us, and we're just going to come back next week and respond. That's all we got to do. Being in sync with the O-line, them boys was creating lanes. They was doing whatever they had to do to make it shake, man, and I think that the tight ends, they did a hell of a job blocking. Same with our fullback. We all was in sync, and obviously the receivers on the perimeter, man, them boys, they go out there and block off, and when their time come, in the receiving game, man, everybody's all bought in. We just got to be better, protecting 7. That's all it come down to. It looked like.
All right, a little bit from Stefon Diggs and Joe Mixon. You heard those comments towards the end from Mixon. He said, we got to do a better job of protecting 7. He made it clear that O-line has to improve and get the job done quickly. I want to ask you guys now about down the stretch of this football game, because Bobby Slowick's getting roasted after that game yesterday, and he's going to be questioned, I'm sure, on Thursday when he speaks with the media on the play call selection on that last Texans drive, and especially that play call to Tank Dell. What was he thinking? There's definitely other options. You could have kept that clock rolling, eat some more.
You got to do
out.
One thing or the other. If you want them to burn their timeouts, you call another run play or a much, much safer pass play. Yeah. First of all, the throw was not even to the sticks to begin with, and it was out of bounds.
Right.
If he catches it, he goes out of bounds, and the clock's going to stop anyway. They still won't have burned their timeouts. I wasn't a huge fan of what they called. I'm not anti-running the ball 3 times, but I didn't like the way they went about it. They had two plays, both of them lost yards. They ran into the teeth of the defense. I'm not saying it didn't work for some of the day, but in that situation, that far into the play field, that close to the end zone, those plays are not going to get you there. So to me, it looked like they were playing for the field goal, almost like they forgot the new rules. The Packers were going to start their drive on the 30.
Right.
Now you've given them an extra timeout, and they only have to go 30 yards to kick the game-winning field goal. It's just the wrong play to make in that situation. It actually was their best drive of the game. It was the only drive the entire game. They had 4 first downs. CJ was 3 for 3 on the drive up until that incomplete pass.
Yeah.
I would have just gone ahead and tried to win the game by forcing the Packers to get the ball back and beat you with a touchdown.
No, Lex is right. Once they made the commitment that they were just going to run the ball, right? First down, second down, you have to then run on third down. You certainly can't throw a pass that's going to go out of bounds and stop the clock, or incomplete and stop the clock. If the purpose is burn the TOs, why are you not running the football? That was a play where, thankfully, I don't have a whole lot of hair left because I'd have yanked it all out. I can't say what he was thinking there because I don't know what he was thinking there. I don't know that anybody knows what he was thinking there. And ultimately, that timeout, Packers would use on their drive, and that would help them set up a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, LaFleur talked about that post-game yesterday. In fact, where he made the adjustment. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to continue on with Inside the Texans. More discussion, more reaction as well. We will talk about the defense, playing their butts off yesterday in Green Bay with these guys out. Guys stepped up, still made some plays to keep this Texans team into this football game, but it turns out to be a 24-22 loss. We'll break away. We're right back live from NRG Stadium with Inside the Texans.
It's a lot of ball left. You know what I'm saying? A lot of ball left. Regroup, go back to the drawing board, to watch the tape and put our best foot forward for next week. Just from right now, it just feels like, just got to be on the same page, and we all got to be better.
We go to work every week, so we're going to get back to doing what we do, get back to work and clean up the details, and come back next week and play a cleaner game.
Just applying pressure. As a defensive line, that's our job. Miko, he dogged the plays, and we executed it well. But at the end of the day, I feel like on defense, we got to make the most of our opportunities when we go out there. At the end of the day, it comes down to just executing and making the most of our opportunities. When plays need to be made, defense got to make them. We need to score on defense also.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Texans, live outside of NRG Stadium with Sports Talk 790's Adam Wexler, Sports Radio 610's Patrick Creighton. That was Daniil Hunter and Shaq Mason talking yesterday after the Texans lost to the Green Bay Packers. Guys, let's talk defense now. And all the injuries that went into this football game, they're missing 4 starters at least. Guys are banged up. You had backups getting the job done. You had a couple linebackers, Neville Hewitt, Jake Hansen, that actually played pretty good at moments during the game yesterday. You had Kalen Bullock, who stepped up with another interception. The defense did its job for the most part, but you still got to be able to, the run defense has to improve. Jacobs got him a little bit yesterday.
Well, I'll say throughout the week, it was pretty obvious they were going to be without their 2 starting linebackers, and they only play 2 linebackers. So really, these are the only 2 guys in Toa and Alshire who had played the entire season. Neville Hewitt finally got some snaps a week ago when Alshire was out. I wasn't really worried about either one of them. I don't think they're the same caliber players, clearly, but I didn't think that was going to be an issue, and it certainly wasn't. One thing about Hewitt, though, this is the suplex king, right? He did it a couple weeks ago. Nothing happened. He did it this week, and he got penalized for it. But what I'm actually talking about is, why didn't he run over Jordan Love? That actually cost the Texans. He intercepted the football after Petrie came in there, tipped it, he picked it. There was one guy between him and the end zone, and it was Jordan Love. And instead of either taking him outside or putting your shoulder into him early in the game, hitting the quarterback when it's legal, he stopped and tried to cut back into the field where 3 other defenders got him. Tank Dell drops the touchdown pass, and the Texans settle for a field goal. But what I wanted to say defensively is, last week they played Drake May and the Patriots. They couldn't take advantage of what the Texans are actually missing defensively. That's Kamari Lassiter. Different story. Love, Packers, their OC, their weapons. Dobbs absolutely dominated his matchup with D'Angelo Ross, and they went after him. They attacked him over and over and over again. A couple penalties on Eric Murray also, who probably is on the field less when Jimmy Ward comes back, and on Bullock, never leaving the field again. Unbelievable draft pick, super ball hawk, makes great plays. He's been on the field every play for the last several weeks, and that's not changing.
Yeah, he's stepping up. He's growing up quickly. Everybody saw the talent he had starting in training camp. The coaches were raving about him, and as advertised, he's making plays.
We were wondering how long before Caden Bullock eventually becomes a starting safety. Well, it didn't take very long. And, unfortunately, part of that involved Jimmy Ward getting hurt, but that train's never late. And Caden Bullock has been terrific, and he finds the football. It's almost like he's got a magnetic draw to it, a Bluetooth connection. I know where it's going to be, and he's there. And you saw he got some height to go up there and go grab that ball yesterday. And as Adam was talking about Neville Hewitt, being the Brock Lesnar of the Texans, you can side take down a guy. You can grab a guy around the waist and take him down to the side, and that's perfectly fine. You can grab a guy, pick him up, and then put him straight down. That's fine. You cannot German suplex the guy over your head. That's a flag. In fact,
it's not his fault that Jaden Reed weighs about 150 pounds.
My first year
like
here, when Matt Shaw was doing his record-setting performances against the Seattle Seahawks in overtime, they didn't lose that game because Matt Shaw threw a pick six. They lost that game because Kareem Jackson hit a guy with a German suplex over the head in overtime and put them in field goal range. You can't German suplex dudes.
All right. Hey, so hopefully some guys will start coming back. Aaron Wilson thinking, he reported yesterday that Lassiter's still not quite ready yet. He's going to miss some more time. And he thought Jimmy Ward might miss some more time as well. But we'll see what happens coming for the Colts. We'll talk Colts in just a moment. Right now, Chancellor Johnson and Aaron Wilson with some takeaways last night from Lambeau Field.
For yet another week, the Houston Texans did not play their best football, but as Stephon Diggs said, it came back to bite them in the butt. I'm Chancellor Johnson, joined by Aaron Wilson here at Lambeau Field, and Aaron's simply not good enough from the Houston Texans, particularly on the offensive end.
Right, when you think about where they have problems, where they aren't good enough, they don't pass protect well enough, they don't get enough separation with Nico Collins out of the lineup, they don't have any targets outside of Stephon Diggs right now. Maybe they should give Dalton Schultz more chances. He had the longest catch of the day with 28 yards. It looks like they're over-dependent on Diggs to do something, try to create something. Tank Dell was 0 for 3. We thought Tank Dell was going to step up. This wasn't it. And I got to give the Packers a lot of credit. They are sticky in coverage, especially Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney, and their blitz. Wow. That is how you draw it up. That is like textbook by their defense. Outstanding football.
Stephon Diggs talked about how even when Nico Collins went down, he felt like the Texans wide receiver room had enough horses in the stable. But as you mentioned, we just really haven't seen it, at least this week, taking on the Packers. Tank Dell, as you mentioned, I thought he would be able to step up, just hasn't been able to really get things going at all so far on the year.
Right. I think some of that, too, is when you're putting a player in a different role than they're accustomed to, sometimes there's this adjustment period. I think they're in the adjustment period where all of a sudden CJ is like, oh, well, I have to throw to him again, because it was all about Diggs and Nico. And now Tank has to step to the forefront. And you talk about the horses in the stable. The horses got to get on their giddy-up sticks. They got to get it going. Yeah. They got to, get out of the stable. They got to get out of the gates, and they got to get to the finish line. And yeah, the season's got a lot of football left, as the guys were saying. But 5-2, 4-game winning streak snapped. This is not it, and this concerns anyone that's thinking bigger picture, because they have a lot of goals. And I can tell you those questions are being said in that locker room too. How are we going to get better? Because we want to do a lot more than just make the playoffs. Absolutely. They want to make a run.
Absolutely. And the horses, they stayed in the stable against the Packers. But defensively, the Bulls, for a bit, were on parade. They were able to get after Jordan Love, and they were able to force 3 interceptions. Defensively, I thought they played well enough to win this ballgame.
Neville Hewitt is strong, man. That guy, I love the way he plays. Absolutely. Yeah, he's the tackling machine, as Calvin McNair calls him. He suplexes guys. He got another penalty, slammed that guy. Had an interception. I mean, he was running pretty fast in that 45-yard return, and it's nice to have depth. I wasn't that worried about the linebackers. I feel like him and Jake Hansen would play well. Also, with D'Amico Ryan's former Pro Bowl linebacker coaching these guys up, they're good at that. But you think about some of the other holes, they are a team that you thought you'd get more out of Denique Autry. Maybe some rust. Didn't make a lot of noise in his first game back from the 6-game suspension. Just curious to see, is this just his, kind of get his feet wet week, and maybe next week he starts wrecking shop, because he's certainly capable of it. But this wasn't much, this wasn't the impact they hoped for.
Joe Mixon after the game told us, do I look concerned? Do I look worried? And my question is, after a loss like that, should the Texans be worried? Right now, they still sit at 5-2 on the year, taking on the Colts this week.
Take the finger off the panic button, perhaps, Texans fans, but at least have...
All right, much more of that conversation with Chancellor and Aaron. It's up right now on click2houston.com as they talk a little bit more about that loss in Green Bay and look ahead to the Colts. Now, we're going to start looking ahead to the Colts right now. We got about 5 minutes left, guys. A good time, I guess, coming off a loss like they did yesterday. Get the Indianapolis Colts coming to town. Although they're 4-3, they're kind of lingering there in the AFC South. A chance to fix some things, get that mojo back, some momentum.
The Colts are an offensive embarrassment, and Anthony Richardson might be the worst passer in the entire league, no matter who's on the field these days. But like you said, If they come here and beat the Texans, they tie them for first place at 5-3. They can't stop the run. I mentioned Anthony Richardson can't throw the football, which obviously all he did was throw a couple of bombs in the first game, or else that would not have been a one-score game. The only thing the Colts seem to do well is figure it out. 7 games this year. They've all been one-score games for the Colts. They've won their last 2, taken advantage of their schedule getting a little bit easier the last couple of weeks. Maybe next week they get Jonathan Taylor back, but each week that is an if, and that means their run game is Anthony Richardson. Texans will be favored, probably in the neighborhood of a touchdown by the time we get to kickoff, and you bury the division. The division race ends on Sunday when you beat the Colts.
Yeah, I think they're going to take care of business, and we got some video if we can. Joe Mixon, what he did, was able to do week 1 against the Colts, 30 carries, 159 yards, Patrick. On the Colts now, obviously the weakness, they can't stop the run. Mixon should go off again, but to his point, you got Anthony Richardson, and not terrible numbers again yesterday. Are we going to see Flacco a little bit, or do you think they're going to stick with Richardson?
Well, what was Richardson? 10 of 24 yesterday. They put up a whopping 16 points on what's left of the Miami Dolphins, but he did play the whole game, so that means by halftime he's due to be injured. That's how this works, right? That's the script with Anthony Richardson. Play 6 quarters, dead. Miss a few weeks, come back, play 6 quarters, dead. I do expect that we're going to see Joe Flacco. I expect we're going to see him for at least half the game, and they'll be better when Flacco is in the game, even though he's a total statue. But this is, again, the Texans. Look, they're better. They're better on both sides of the ball. They should win this game. And as much as Rex said, hey, look, if they lose this game, they are tied. They are. But this is the kind of game coming off of really what should be an embarrassing defeat for them, despite
they got to come out. They got to come out
be,
angry with a chip.
They should be ticked off, and we should see that.
Yeah. Let's roll some video real quick. We got less than 2 minutes. C.J. Stroud video as well. He came out strong in that opening game, Wex, against Indy, 24-32 for 234, a couple of touchdowns, but he was sacked 4 times by that Indianapolis defense as well.
Yeah, prior to this Packer game, the Texans line had done a little bit better job of protecting him. Fewer hits, fewer sacks, fewer pressures, but obviously that's all out the window now. Colts didn't do a great job of that. All the Texans line, I don't think, was particularly ready for them to be at their best then either. What needs to happen is they've got to get out in front again. That's what they did to the Colts. Colts kept answering them in the fourth quarter. Texans scored twice and ran out the clock, both of them touchdown, all behind Mixon. Don't see why that would not be the case again. And maybe this time they're in the middle of a big turnover binge. 4 of them forced against the the Patriots, then 3 more against the Packers. They were a +3. The Texans hadn't lost a game when they were +3 since 2014. It was actually here against DeMeco Ryans and the Eagles when he hurt his knee on their field.
You normally win those football games when you win the turnover battle. All right, let's go to full screen now. Again, it all leads to Sunday 12 noon kickoff. It'll be the Colts and the Texans right here at NRG Stadium as the Texans look for win number 6. 30 seconds, guys. Plug your shows real fast and where people can follow you.
Hey, you can catch me on Area 45 Sports Radio 610 evenings at 8 o'clock.
Very good. Wex?
Same place you've been finding us for years, right there on Sports Talk 790, weekday afternoons, 3 until 6.
Also,
Space City Home Network, simulcast each and every day, same hours, 3 to 6. Find us there.
All right, good stuff, guys. Wex and Patrick, thanks for hanging out here. 30 minutes on Inside the Texans. We do it every Monday live at 11 o'clock here on KPRC2+. Coverage all week for the Texans over the air and online, click2houston.com. So long for now.